welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry. I'm just
You
playing.
almost went British. You
Uh,
almost went British there.
oh
Today
God,
we
we're
are
not
going to
bringing
be...
back those bets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Jerry once lost a bet and had to speak with an English accent for, 5 minutes? The first 5 minutes of the
Yeah.
podcast, I think. Oh, man, that was funny and terrible at the same time. We're here to talk week 9 of the NFL schedule.
Yeah,
I'm like a
it's
week behind every week.
you are.
Yeah,
It's
it's
and
very
I even
strange.
put the dates like week 9 in our description. So
Yeah, I should read those. I should really read those more often. Um, Panthers Bengals. Panthers
yeah,
visiting the Cincinnati Bengals, a game that when you first looked at the schedule, you were thinking, it's probably going to be a loss. But now, I don't know.
there,
We'll talk about
there's
it.
possibilities here. I
We'll
mean,
talk about it.
especially the way this team has rallied behind Steve Wilkes. It's a different team. Now, if you told me week 2, 3 this game, definitely an
This
L.
is a different team. This is
It
definitely
is.
a different team. It looks different. It feels different. We really should have won it last week. We should be 2-1 with Wilkes, but it's a new week. Jamar Chase is not playing for the Bengals. I mean, there's some real possibilities. Bengals looked terrible against the Browns last week.
Yeah, they
They
did.
really did.
And you wonder if they're gonna come out like all cylinders firing to
Mm-hmm.
as viewing the Panthers as a get right game, or if they're just gonna overlook the Panthers and we're frisky
We're
right now.
frisky.
That's the best thing for the way this season started to say this team is. We're frisky.
It's a cat fight. It's gonna be a cat fight this week. We did want to just say thank you to all of the new subscribers and really all of the subscribers on our YouTube channel. We did go over the 1,000 subscriber mark. So we are now YouTube official, and we do
Yeah,
appreciate all of you so much. Never would have expected to have a YouTube channel with over 1,000. And I know in the grand scheme of things, 1,000, some of these things have 10, 20, 30,000
yeah.
subscribers, but
Hey,
we're very happy having our 1,000, having you guys as our part of our podcast family here. We really appreciate it.
yeah. And not only our YouTube subscribers, we also love our podcast listener as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
Don't.
Podcast is doing better than ever.
Yeah. So we really appreciate it, everyone. And since we hit that mark, we are gonna do a giveaway, a little swag bag giveaway, to enter to win. Just either DM us on Twitter or message us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com, and we will randomly select a winner.
YouTube subscribers or podcast listeners, either one, this is a celebration for all of us. So just shoot us an email or a DM. We'll get you entered in the contest, and I guess a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll give it a couple weeks. I don't want to deal with it on the Thursday night Atlanta game because that week's going to be crazy for us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
probably
Short
be the
week.
week after.
Yeah. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll say a couple of weeks. We'll
Pick a
give it
winner.
till the 16th. We'll say the 16th. That's when we'll do the drawing, on the 16th.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. See, just making plans here live on the show. You guys get a little look inside. There's really not much news to talk about this week, but Jerry and I did want to sort of recap the trade deadline, which the Panthers didn't make any moves on deadline day, but of
Yeah.
course did make several moves, the 2 weeks leading up to the deadline. So, Jerry, no moves for the Panthers. Good move or bad move?
I'm gonna say good move overall. I feel like this. I've said this multiple times on this podcast, but the roster's pretty solid. There was a couple guys that I could see moving if people were interested in, as Shaq Thompson would have been a good one. I think you have to get something at least a fourth, maybe a fifth, just because that contract's so huge. But keeping him, I mean, if when he's on, he's a great player. The problem is he hasn't been on that much this year. So
I'd
him,
love
I
to
think
know if they actually got any offers for him. I haven't seen anyone report that they did.
no, I know.
I did
Uh,
see that some people were reaching out about Dante Jackson, which
mhm.
was a little surprising to me. Um, but I think contract wise, it would have taken a lot to eat that dead cap since he just signed his new deal.
Yeah, yeah.
There was probably some money issues there. I know like Xavier Woods was another one we talked about as a possible veteran trade, so he sticks around. But
Cam
really, I
Irving.
mean, obviously the biggest news was the Brian Burns offer. I know you talked about it a little bit on your solo pod a couple of weeks ago, but there's a little more news that came out basically that the Rams were the team that offered the 2 first-round picks and more, is what I've heard. You know, Cam Akers was involved, and there may have been a couple other late picks involved as well. But obviously, those picks would have been 2024, 2025. So the
Th-
value for Scott Fitterer probably not there.
Correct. I think people, yes, 2 first rounds. You don't know where the Rams are picking. You're going to assume they're probably in the back. And again, 2, 3 years from now sounds great if you're a GM and coach that you know you're going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
But the GM definitely doesn't know he's going to be here. He's probably going to have a short leash just if he sticks around, which I think he should, but we don't know what Tepper's thinking. So I could see him not wanting to pull that trigger. Just a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would diminish the team in the immediate future, right? I
Mhm.
mean, you're looking at not
He
next
is our
draft,
pass
but the
rush.
next. Yeah,
No
right. I mean,
other
he is
pass
the pass.
rush.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it would absolutely decimate the defense for this year, and then who knows what they could do next
Yeah.
year. But you know, look at it the other way. He's a guy coming up on a new contract. You're gonna have to pay him. We saw Bradley Chubb get traded from the Broncos to the Dolphins, and then sign a 5-year, pretty much $120 million deal. And Bradley Chubb is nowhere near the caliber of player that Brian Burns
No.
is. Bradley Chubb had basically a really good season his rookie year, and then since then has sort of been injured and just hasn't produced at that level. And he got $120 million. So I can't imagine what Brian Burns and his representation, they just have to be salivating looking at that deal, knowing that the Panthers turned down 2 firsts. Scott Fitterer has has to extend Brian Burns,
Oh
because
yeah.
if you don't, then you look like a huge fool. You probably get fired
Well,
because you turned down 2 first-round picks, and
I
then you
I
shouldn't
think
re-sign the guy. It's he has to do it. There's no other option.
yes, you can. You can tag him and you can sign him or trade him for 2 first round picks in a year or so, and that makes sense.
That's
But
true.
other than that, yeah, it's gonna be a really, really bad message if you can't re-sign him and or you try to trade him later on and it's just not there. It's you get less than what you were offered.
Yeah, I mean it's a massive gamble, I think, honestly, to
Mm-hmm.
not trade him when you are offered that kind of return. Like quarterback
Yeah.
trade, bait. It's a massive gamble. I can see both sides of it. I'm glad that Brian Burns is still here. Come 2024, 2025, if like Sean McVay has retired and Aaron Donald has retired and the Rams are, you know, sitting at 4-13, picking, fourth in the draft, and that could have been our pick. Who knows where we'll be by then, as a team. So there's just so many ways that this could go. But I will say, I'm going to keep a very close eye on those 2 picks because
Oh
I want
yeah.
to know where they end up. And again, with Brian Burns on that team, who knows how he changes that
Yeah,
defense? They
can you
could be
imagine
completely
pairing
different.
Donald with Brian Burns?
Yeah, I mean,
Whew.
it's kind of like when McCaffrey went to the 49ers. Like, yeah, it really sucked that he left, but man, he is fun to watch on the 49ers, like with Kyle Shanahan's and offense, and putting Brian Burns on the same defensive line as Aaron Donald. That'd be a lot of fun to watch too. But
Yeah.
I'm still glad that Brian Burns is here. I think he's much more fun to watch as a Panther.
Yeah, and Brian Burns is very excited to be here too. He
Yeah.
said that he wants to stay a Panther. And Stanley McGlover, Loki on Twitter, he says they're a Panther family. I mean, his brother was
Mhm.
drafted here. You know, he feels that their family is a Panther family through and through. That they love the organization and everything else. And I could see that too, especially from Brian Burns, because again, he kind of grew up with his brother being here, and now he got drafted by us.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a prospect that, needed to mature and stuff coming out of college. He was not a surefire first round pick.
No.
So
Yeah.
I felt like when we drafted him, may have been a late round, first round, or
I think
early
it was
second.
16th, I believe.
Yeah, but people were projecting him
Oh,
there.
right.
But Marty Herney jumped up and grabbed him early. So, I mean, he probably appreciates that because he was raw when he came here.
Say what you will about Marty Herney. That dude
Oh,
could identify first round talent.
yeah, he wanted Justin Herbert.
He did.
He
He
wanted to
did.
jump up and trade for him, but
That by the
that
way, if you
rule.
guys haven't read that Joe Person Athletic article about the Matt Rule,
It was a Scott Fowler, I believe. Actually, it wasn't.
Maybe
Yeah, I think it was
whoever
a
it was.
Scott Fowler
It
of
was a really
Charlotte
nice
Observer.
article. It was either Scott Fowler or Joe Person. I don't remember, but yeah, check that out. I think you might be right. It was Scott Fowler. Check that out. Pretty interesting stuff in there. But all right. Well, any other thoughts about the trade deadline?
No, I think the Panthers did the right thing. I think they traded away with. I still hurts me the Christian McCaffrey, but I get the prospect of it. I think Robbie Anderson, they got something out of it, especially considering
Yeah.
the way he was trending, and you're giving TMJ now and Shai Smith and Chanel more playing time with him gone. So I like that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of national sports writers say the Panthers were one of the winners of the trade deadline, basically saying that they traded two players and they nearly got a full draft's worth of picks for those two guys, which is true. I mean, they got second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. You got everything but the first.
They got two fives, I believe.
Yeah. No, I think just one, but because Robbie was a sixth and a seventh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking he was a fifth and a sixth. No one would give that up for him.
No. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the Panthers did a good job. I wouldn't have minded seeing them try to get something out of Shaq, but again, if all teams were offering was like a sixth or a seventh, then I'd rather him be on the team.
I do too. When he's playing good, he's a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker when he plays on. The problem is he hasn't been playing on this year. He's been missing tackles, but maybe that could shape up.
Two high-end games, and everything else has kind of been crappy. All right, well let's move on. Let's take a look at the PFF grades, the top 5 and the bottom 5 on the offense and the defense from last week, as we'd like to do. And Jerry, I'll let you kind of run through the offense here.
Number 1, we know it, Deontay Foreman, 82.3. He does have an 8.0 in pass blocking, which kind of is nerve-wracking if he has to pass block, but he only did it once.
I don't think I've ever seen a score that low.
He must have just whiffed.
Jeez.
Number 2, the offensive player with the most snaps in the game, Terrace Marshall Jr. with a 75.1. Then Laviska Shenault, 75.1. I guess they were tied for 2. Steven Sullivan, 73.8. He only had 9 snaps. Doesn't really mean anything. And Icky, again, man, after his first couple games, he's up in these top 5 every week. 70.2. Pass blocking grade of 90.6.
I was gonna say his pass blocking has been better than his run blocking, and he was a premier run blocker coming into the draft. Everyone said his pass blocking might take a season or two to come around. It's only taken 3 or 4 games. I mean, he's there.
Yeah,
he's elite pass blocker now.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say how much this O-line has improved from last year. I mean, it is insane how well, like dramatically. And James Campen, round of applause, man.
Yeah.
I hope whatever coach is coaching here next year keeps you because you have earned it. Bottom 5 now on offense. Giovanni Ricci with 7 snaps, 48. Tommy Tremble, 46 snaps, 47.2. Bradley Bozeman, center, which shocks me. He's down here, 46.7. Still higher than Pat Elflein on the year, though. Cam Irving, left tackle. He only had 3 snaps, 43.3. And Ian Thomas at the bottom, 42.5, and he had a lot of snaps, so that's a legitimate one.
Yeah, if Ian Thomas is always at the bottom. Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble both always kind of just
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
I agree with you what you said earlier that it's time to start giving Steven Sullivan more time. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, 9 snaps, that's not enough. He's easily the best pass catching tight end on this team.
Yeah, and
and if you look at his blocking scores, like particularly his run blocking scores, because I don't think he had any pass blocking scores, they're better than what Trimble and Ian Thomas did.
Exactly. I am now on your boat of saying it's time to let this guy get some more reps.
Yeah.
I feel like Tommy Trimble and Ian Thomas have had their chance now, and it's time to see if anybody else can play better.
Agreed. All right, let's move over here to the defense. And a player that we usually talk about in the bottom 5, sitting at number 1, C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
Maybe his best score ever, a 91.1. And he had 34 snaps. He wasn't just sitting around doing nothing.
No.
Good job, C.J. Henderson. Now, I did see him blow a couple of passes, so I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see how they came up with this score, but
my guess,
pretty much trust PFF to get it close.
My guess is it was supposed to be handed off to the safety, and the safety didn't take the handoff correctly.
Yeah.
That's why they got open. Because there's a couple safeties in the bottom, and I'm assuming that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, great job, CJ. The other cornerback, Dante Jackson, number 2 with an 83.5. Derek Brown, number 3 with an 80.9. Derek Brown's always in the top 5 these days. Another guy that just like he and Icky, like both those guys drafted, had some questions, but Icky came around immediately. Derek Brown took a couple of seasons, but he's there now. Like he's the guy. He is that number 7 pick.
I think he's PFF overall. I think he's ranked 6th best defensive tackle in the league out of 120 something. So
yeah, he's arrived. Another guy that's arrived, Frankie Louvu, 75.1. Yeah, we love Louvu. And then Sean Chandler, only 5 snaps. He comes in 5th with 70.3. Looking at the bottom 9, Marquand McCall, only 9 snaps, 48.9. Corey Littleton, 45.3. He's up and down too, Corey Littleton.
Yeah. I mean, that's why he's bounced around the league a little bit.
Linebacker definitely going to be a position of need in the offseason. Miles Hartsfield, 44.2. Safety also a need in the offseason because Xavier Woods also down there, 42.1. And then Bravion Roy, only 10 snaps, 27.9. So, yeah, you kind of see like where the need for upgrade comes in. It's safety, it's linebacker.
Well, this is
line depth.
To be fair, when Jeremy Chin gets back, Xavier Woods has had a really good season. This was a bad game for him, obviously. Yeah. But overall, I feel like as long as Xavier Woods and Jeremy Chin are healthy, yeah. And
Sean, you wouldn't have Hartsfield in there quite as much.
Yeah.
Hopefully Chin's back soon. All right. Well, that's going to do it for last week. We'll take a quick break here. We'll be right back.
CBDX.com!
CBDX.com!
Promo code Meow for 20% off. Choose from gummies, flour, vapes, and pre-rolled CBD. So it's good. I take a gummy every night. I know you typically do. You said my wife does. Helps you sleep. It's closest to real deal as you can get. Cops will probably pull you over and think it is until they test it. Just let you know, do not drive with it, but use promo code Meow for 20% off.
And they tell you this, if you are required to take a drug test, it will show up on the drug test. It's the real deal, okay? It's the real deal. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's any worse. CBDX.com, promo code Meow. All right, Jerry.
Now, we are playing the Cincinnati Bengals, Steven. Now, we don't play them very often. They're not in our division, not even in our conference. How many games have the Panthers played the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, the Bengals were a team before the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
What, we play them like once every 4 years or something, right? But I don't know how often it was back in the day. I'm gonna say we played them 9 times.
You are incorrect, sir. It is 6.
Wow, really?
Six,
Only
to-
6 times.
6 times. This will be the 7th time. And with that saying, what is the record the
Oh man.
Carolina Panthers have against? Now you got to do
Normally I
6.
normally I look this up.
Oh, I'm glad you did it because that would
Yeah, I
have
did not look it
killed
up
my
this time.
trivia.
Well, the Bengals have been historically terrible. I'm gonna guess we have a winning record. I'm gonna go 4-2.
You're very close. 3, 2-1.
Oh, that's right.
I knew
I
that
forgot
one
about that
would get you.
stupid 37-37 tie from a few years back.
Where
Oh my
Ron
god, what a
didn't
weird
even
game that
try to
was.
go, didn't want to go for the win. He settled for the tie. Yeah, that was
I
frustrating.
remember.
But that
God, I
tie ended
hated
up
that.
getting us into the playoff.
Yeah, I know, it did.
Um, now
Wow.
only one Carolina QB played this team twice, and who was it?
Jake Delhomme.
Cam Newton. I
Ah,
thought it would Cam or Jake Delhomme was going to have one too, but it was Steve Berline, Jake Delhomme, Jimmy Clausen. So,
Cam twice.
hmm
Okay, okay, that makes sense. All right, good trivia there, Jerry. Good trivia. Let's move on and start the game preview here. We're going to take a look at the injuries first. For the Panthers, the list a little shorter than last week, but not by much. We got Justin Burris still did not practicing with a concussion. By the way, we're doing this on a Thursday, so we've got the Thursday injury reports.
yeah, that's my fault. I had some real work related things I had to do this morning,
Real
and I
work. Like
couldn't.
this isn't real work, Jerry. Uh, did not practice Dante Jackson with an ankle. Stephen Sullivan also did not practice with an illness. Got Amari Barno listed as a limited practice with a knee. Deontay Foreman with a rest did not practice yesterday, but full practice today. J.C. Horn limited practice. Chuba Hubbard limited practice. Frankie Louvu limited practice. Higgins and Taylor Moton both did not practice, although Moton is listed as a rest. Higgins with an illness, and then Sam Franklin with an illness did practice fully today. There's an illness going around, it seems like. We got 3 guys on the team with injury designations of illness.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's going around hospitals and stuff like that. I have a friend whose nurse said that it's filling up, so please be careful. Wear mask, guys. Like,
Yeah, I
stay
don't know
safe.
if it's COVID or if it's
I believe
flu or
yeah, it's like a flu, but it's not COVID.
yeah. For the Bengals, we've got Chidobe Auzule did
A
not
woozy?
practice, cornerback. Awuzel? Yeah, I don't know. Whoever he is didn't practice. Jamar Chase, wide receiver, obviously did not practice. He's out for the game. We know that for sure. La'el Collins, listed as rest/illness, did not practice. Trey Flowers did not practice. Mike Hilton did not practice. Josh Tupou did not practice. Eli Apple, listed as a hamstring full practice. We know Eli. We know him just a little bit. He wasn't here very long, but he was here for a little bit.
Yeah, and he shot fired shots as he left against
Yeah,
Matt Rule, saying that
maybe we should have listened to him.
yeah.
Stanley Morgan, wide receiver, limited practice. Sam Hubbard, defensive end, full practice. Samaje Perine, running back. Finger, full practice. Max Sharping did not practice for a personal reason. And then Joseph Osal, defensive end, ankle, limited practice. So that is the injury report. The Panthers are 7.5-point underdogs. I've seen this at 7, so I think it's kind of hovering somewhere around the 7 to 8 range. And the over/under 42.5, so it's quite a bit higher than we've seen.
Yeah, before we jump into the key matchups or anything, I do want to point out that Awuzie, Trey Flowers, and Eli Apple are hurt, and Awuzie and Trey Flowers are having a great year. So that if both of them are out, or possibly being out. Obviously, we don't know yet. But that's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with PJ Walker being able to throw the ball, something that this team has not had.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could be potential there, especially if two of them are out. I mean, that's huge. Awuzi's been playing really good. I'm surprised you don't remember him. You wanted us to get him in free agency a few years ago from the
No, I
Dallas.
remember him. I just don't know how to pronounce his name. That's all. I know who he
Okay.
is. Just don't know
All
how to
right,
pronounce
okay.
it.
But just wanted to say that because
Yeah.
that's a huge deficit in their secondary.
Yeah, you're right. I do always want to add him, and if he's available this offseason, I'd like to add him this offseason as well.
I mean,
One day he's going to end up on the Panthers. That's all I know.
he's playing great,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't hate him here.
All right, well, let's jump into the matchups and the keys to the game.
All right, starting it off here, minimize Joe Burrow in the passing attack. Jamar Chase is out, but T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are serious threats. They're no slouches. They can start on most teams, both of them. So
And they do. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, T. Higgins does start on this team, and then Boyd plays starter reps pretty much, and then Joe Mixon also very good in the passing game. So you've got and then Hayden Hurst as their tight end. He's also
yeah. They
pretty
don't
good.
like to run the ball that often, but Joe Mixon's dangerous, especially out of the backfield.
Yeah.
He could catch it. He's a really good running back. So we just have to minimize it, keep them in front of us, and slow them down. And it's happened. I mean, that kind of leads into the second one, is get to Joe Burrow. Now he doesn't get rattled like other quarterbacks. He's pretty good at not getting rattled, taking 6-7 hits and still being able to pinpoint the ball. But the O line is garbage.
Yeah.
Any Bengals fans listening to this, sorry, you tried to fix
know.
it.
They know.
It didn't. It didn't happen. They give up a sack percentage of 8.93. So basically, out of 100 times he drops back, 9 times he gets sacked. That's not good, guys. That's really not good. That's like us last year.
It's not good. Yeah, it is. And the Bengals put a decent amount of resources into their offensive line this offseason, just like we did. They chose the wrong guys because that offensive line has been terrible from week one. It's just not good. And honestly, Mixon, even though he's having a good season receiving wise, I think he's not having a very good season rush wise. I think he's only averaging like barely 4 yards a carry. So
that wouldn't shock me because they are not running the ball at all. They have a percentage here. I'm scrolling down. I have it in my. They only run the ball 35% of the time. I mean, that's scary bad. Like,
yeah,
that's like the Panthers were
3.35 yards per carry for Mixon so far.
I mean, that was like the Panthers were in the first couple games where CMC got 13 carries. It was just like, what are you doing? That's it. And Baker Mayfield's not Joe Burrow.
Right, yeah. I mean, last week, so against the Bengals, they lost 32-13 against Jacoby Brissett and the Bengals.
Browns.
Or the Browns. I mean, I think PJ Washington is, if not as good as Brissett, he's pretty close.
Is he as good as PJ Walker, though?
Huh?
Is he as good as PJ Walker, though?
What did I say?
PJ Washington.
PJ Walker.
Sorry, I did that last week.
It was bound to happen at some point. PJ Walker, yeah. I think they're fairly similar. PJ might even be a little better. Maybe. But then you got, outside of maybe the running backs, I think the rest of the Panthers offense is better than the Browns. Offensive line is probably similar.
Yeah.
They've got a better tight end, but he's hurt. I don't know. I think this is a good matchup for the Panthers.
I do too. I think the Panthers are frisky. So anything I believe could happen. I mean, 7.5-point underdogs. That seems high to me, honestly. But we are playing in Cincinnati, and they go to this.
6. We're a 2-6 team. I mean, you are what your record is. We're 2-6. and the Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year. So
Yep.
even though they haven't played as well this year, they still have Joe Burrow, who is better than PJ
Oh
Walker and
yeah.
PJ Washington. Um,
I would
they've got Joe Mixon, who you would have to say is probably better than Foreman and Chuba,
I would
right?
say career wise, yeah, there's no
Yeah,
doubt. I mean,
yeah,
right now the way Foreman's running, if he continues to run like that, that would be a question in the future.
yeah, yeah. Then wide receiver wise, Higgins and Boyd. I mean, I would put DJ above both of them, although Higgins is really good.
I would put
Um,
DJ over both of them, but
yeah,
not very, very high over Higgins.
yeah,
But Jabbar Chase would go over DJ.
of course.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Jamar
DJ.
Chase is Jamar Chase is one of those generational guys, but uh, Boyd and TMJ. I mean, Boyd's higher than TMJ right now.
Uh,
Hayden Hurst better than the Bengals are good. They've got
yeah,
a good squad. They just can't protect their quarterback. So obviously, as you said, one of the big keys of this game is going to be getting to Joe Burrow, sacking him, get him on the ground, hit him hard. I would even say take a roughing the passer early in the game. Just knock the crap out of him.
now, now that's what you say, and they may have to do that because the Panthers rank 30th in the league with sacks per game now, only 1.5 sack per game.
Yeah,
It is Brian Burns and basically no one else. And
Burns has
Brian Burns,
5, and nobody else has more than I think 2.
yeah,
Lugu, I think, has 2.
and the biggest problem there is, I mean, they're doubling up on him. Of
Yeah,
course, rightfully so.
right.
Brian Burns is the pass rush.
Yep. Yeah. Defensive end, area of concern in the offseason for sure.
I want to see Amari Barno out there. I really do. He's only had a couple snaps.
Yeah.
He flashed in the preseason on obvious passing downs. Let his speed go out there and see what he could do, especially against these guys.
Well, we know Etor is probably a bust. Doesn't
Yeah,
seem like he's doing much of anything this season.
he is not a pass rusher. He is more of a run stopping defensive end, which is good, but he is not what this team needs.
No, not at all.
He's a good rotational piece, in my opinion.
Agreed. What this team does need to do, Jerry, run the football once again this week.
You know it.
Since he gives up almost 125 yards a game on the ground, that lends itself to us because the last couple of games the Panthers have been averaging more than that. Deontay Foreman's been amazing. Chuba should be back for this game. He looked really good that first game without CMC. Chuba looked really good, in his first game without CMC, even with limited kind of opportunities even. But he did start the game technically, so I would guess Foreman will start the game and get most of the carries. But I think it's going to be like maybe a 60-40 if Chuba's healthy. So, and I'm okay with that. I'd like to see Chuba more, especially against a team that gives up a lot of running yards.
Yeah, and Chuba's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And when CMC went out last year, Chuba went down with another injury. I mean, this is your chance, man. And Deontay Foreman had a chance last week and the week before when you went out. And I think he's the easy hands-on starter right now. I don't think I agree that you need to split the carries, but yeah. And one of the best things Steve Wilkes has done is force the Panthers to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was Ben McAdoo wanting to do all those RPOs or if it was Matt Rule telling him to do them, but since the new regime has taken over, running the ball seems to be emphasized and it's working.
Agreed. This is what the Panthers have always been.
Yeah.
As a smash mouth football team with a good defense. And that's what we are again. Although last week the defense didn't look great, giving up 28 points on defense. And then, of course, they get the 6 off of PJ. But this is what we want to be. We want to be a running football team, and we want to play good defense.
Yeah, and they need to. The defense actually should kind of feel bad the way they played down the stretch in that game.
I hope so.
I mean, giving up that big touchdown to Demir Bird. I mean, just letting them constantly drive on them in that second half.
The run on the Mariota run, just absolute backbreaker.
Yeah.
That's not something you have to worry about with the Bengals.
No.
Joe Burrow is not Marcus Mariota when it comes to running around out there.
He's mobile. But he's not going to be running a lot.
He's not. Yeah,
He's
right.
gonna run
He's
3
not Josh
yards,
Allen.
slide down.
Yeah,
Rightfully
he's
so.
right. Yeah, he's not a guy that's gonna bust you for 30 yards to win the game. I don't think that's
No.
not something you have to worry about.
And with
He's
his
a better
knees, I wouldn't
passer.
do it.
Yeah. He is a better passer than Marcus Mariota. But all right. Anything else you kind of wanted to talk about with
Third down
matchups?
conversion.
Anything?
Third down conversion.
Yes.
Offensively, you've got to convert those third downs. The past few games, it's gotten better. On the season, they're still only converting 26% of their third downs. Again, new regime has been doing a lot better of trying to get it third and short, but they got to continue to work on getting those third down conversions.
Yeah, and since he's almost converting at a 50% rate, so that's, on the flip side, getting your defense off the field.
Yeah.
Right. That's going to be super important as well. So, since he does give up almost 40% to their opponents, though, the Panthers do give up 40%. So pretty even there. Last week we saw the Panthers be a little better on third down. So hoping that trend continues.
I do too. I think getting it third and short, running the ball, keeping the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands, that's the recipe. I mean, that's the way this team needs to operate anyways. I mean, PJ Walker he had a great fourth quarter, but let's be real, he's not Joe Burrow. He's not going to be able to sling it and have a shootout most games.
I mean, there were moments in that game where, you and I were texting, wondering if we were going to see Baker.
Yeah.
At some point.
There
were a lot of times in that game. PJ did not look good. He made the throw at the end of the game, the big time throw, which you love to see. But let's not forget about the rest of the game. Like he wasn't great in that game.
No, he missed a lot of throws. And honestly, if you want to look, there's so much blame to go around on that game, but you could blame him not making those wide open receiver throws. Could have cost them points in the first half that could have demoralized Atlanta, because I felt like they were willing to give that game up.
Oh yeah. They tried to give it up several times. Unfortunately, the Panthers couldn't capitalize, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how much more fun it has been to watch the Panthers play post Matt Rule. And I don't know if it's Steve Wilkes, and I don't know if it's just Matt Rule being gone. I don't know who to credit with the change. It's probably a combination of all those things, but the players haven't quit. Obviously, Wilkes wants it badly.
Yeah.
It seems like the coordinators are, doing well. Holcomb, a little bit of a question mark right now, but we'll see. Special teams has been a little iffy as well the last few weeks, so need to get them back on track. For a while there, they were like a top 5 unit in the NFL, and I think they've fallen off a little bit. But overall, I do really like watching this team now.
Yeah, it was painful to watch the game week 3 and 4. It was painful. At least last week, as much as it pained me to watch the ending of that, the way it went down with Pinero sucking and missing kicks and, but at least it was fun. Even before that crazy fourth quarter ending, at least it was fun to watch, like, the team compete, offensively move the ball. Like, it was fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Much better than if your opponent scores 17 points, you're pretty much losing the game.
Exactly.
That's good to see. Yeah. All right, let's move on to our beer bet of the week.
Beer bet of the week.
I already forgot what it was, so go ahead.
You always do. And this week, we are going to go running back style. Who has more total yards, Deontay Foreman or Chuba Hubbard? Steven has taken Chuba. I have taken Deontay.
And yeah, just mainly thinking Chuba, a little bit of fresh legs. I do think they'll split it kind of 60-40 with Deontay getting most of the carries, but I think Chuba has the breakaway ability a little more than Deontay Foreman. We've seen them
Yeah.
both do it. Um, but I don't know. I just think it maybe switches this week.
Okay. I could easily see that too. It's now when I say total yards, it doesn't mean kickoff or punt return.
No,
So
no, no. Catching and running. Yeah,
yeah.
receiving and running.
I
Yep,
remember
I'm fine
one
with that.
year kickoff return yards was in my fantasy. Like you would
Oh
get points.
yeah.
Oh man, everybody was dressed, went and picked up punt returners and kick returners because
I mean, I don't
so
mind some of that stuff. Sometimes it really adds a different element, than just going out and getting guys. But I heard a lot of people now are doing no kicker leagues. I don't know. I kind of like
I like
having to do your kicker, you know?
Justin Tucker drilled a 60-yard game in my playoff game to put me into the championship game like 5-6 years ago,
Yeah.
and then I won it. I won it because of Justin Tucker
Yeah.
because he made a last-second field goal to win their game on my game.
Yeah.
So I
That's
like it.
probably one of his biggest career accomplishments, I think.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't cut him. Didn't cut him the next week because of
Yeah.
it.
All right. Let's go with our bold predictions. Jerry, I'll go first this time. Normally I make you go first. I'm gonna go first. And I think, Jerry,
hmm
that not only is Chuba Hubbard gonna go over 100 yards rushing, I think Deontay Foreman is also going to go over 100 yards
Oh,
rushing. I think we have two 100-yard rushers in this game. I think Chuba gets maybe a couple more or a receiving yardage or something to give me my beer bet. But I do think that we have two 100-yard rushers in a game for the first time in probably since the double treble days.
yeah, yeah, definitely probably since then. Um, wow, if yours happens, mine probably won't. But mine is with the system, with there having so much secondary issues, I'm going TMJ, Terrace Marshall Jr. gets his first 100-yard game.
I would love that.
Me too.
I mean, I would hate it in the sense that mine would probably not come true, but maybe he gets like a 99-yard touchdown and then one other catch for 2 yards, and then mine still comes true. That'd be
Well,
great.
then I'm almost certain we win at that point, so I'm good with
Right.
that.
Yeah. If all of those things happen, this is definitely a Panthers win.
Yeah.
All right. Game predictions. Who you got, Jerry?
Oh, 23-20. I'm going Bengals. It hurts me, but I'm just choosing the Bengals this week.
Well, I'm going to represent the Carolinas here. I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think the game that we should have won last week is what we're going to see this week. Panthers go for 35 points in this one, only give up 24, 35-24, Carolina.
All right. Mark that in our little calendar here.
Yes, put it in there. All right. Any other final thoughts on the game before we take a look at the rest of the NFC South?
No, I think this game is actually going to be a lot better than the odds makers are
Yeah.
making it out. Will the
Panthers
Panthers
beat
win?
the spread last week. I think we'll beat the spread again this week.
I do too.
Um, maybe we don't win, but I do think it's a close game.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look around the NFC South.
All right. The LA Chargers go to the Atlanta Falcons. The LA Rams go to the Tampa Bay Bucks. I was kind of surprised both LA teams are away. I would assume one would play at home and one would
And they're
play.
both playing against the NFC South.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Baltimore Ravens travel to New Orleans to face the Saints.
So we're the only NFC South team on the road this week.
Yeah. And honestly, I would assume all games the NFC South is the underdog.
I would bet so. That Ravens Saints game is the Monday night game. I thought Rams Bucks might be the Sunday night game, but it's actually Titans Chiefs, which I think will be a better game.
We'll
So
see. I mean, Titans haven't been playing all that great, but
I think the Bucks could be. I bet the Bucks are favored. They're home. Their
their
records are
offense has
basically the same.
their offense has been horrible though.
Let's check real fast.
Do, 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 do.
Let's see. Okay, found it. Bucks are
Okay.
3-point favorites.
All right.
Literally found it just as you paused. The
Yeah.
Saints are 2.5-point underdogs, and I don't really care about the Falcons. So
No one does.
that's it.
Uh,
All right,
uh,
Jerry. I think that's gonna do it.
all right, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. And enter to win our swag bag giveaway. Just DM us or email us at the mailbag at meowmixpodcast.com.
Mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com, not the mailbag. I know that's
Okay.
not what Jerry said, but just to be clear. All right, everybody. We'll be back on Sunday afternoon to recap Week 9. Hopefully, the Carolina Panthers victory. Until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.
And vote.